Hey everyone, here we are. Welcome to the Daily Raz Show. I'm Jack Wilson, and we're going to do a podcast today on how to start a podcast. What kind of equipment? This is an answer to an email that I was sent, and I replied back to it, and again, he replied back and asked me to explain some of the things that we do on equipment, what we're using. So I'm going to go through each piece. Now, I'm not going to get into a lot of the technical aspects about it because you can get that information on the internet, just like I did. A lot of it is confusing. You're going to have to spend some time looking at what people have and kind of decipher it from that. A lot of it is very complicated, and you'll find, maybe with what I'm going to show you, you'll find some help from that. To start with, one of the things you're going to need is depending on what level you want to do podcasting. By the way, it's kind of a misnomer. They call it podcasting. It's actually video casting. Podcasting has no video. But everybody calls it podcasting, so that's fine. But depending on what level you want to go at is what you're going to find you will need in computers or computer. Now, I have multiple computers, but the powerful one I use is a desktop. What we use is a Dell XPS 8960. It's an i7 processor, has 64 gigs of RAM, and about 2 terabytes of memory. We use a lot of memory because we do a lot of videos and graphics and design with Adobe, the Creative Suite, I used to call it, but it has all of the design elements in it. And I also we use some different laptops too. Also, one of the things that you will need is to make things and makes life easier is 2 monitors. You're going to see that I will show you in a moment, that we use multiple monitors. One for the cameras, because you will see as you do investigation on this that the video control panel gives you the ability to look at multiple cameras on this particular screen, and then on the other screen we have the control panel that we can control the cameras from. So it's good to have multiple screens and multiple monitors, depending on what you're using. You're probably never, depending on what level you get into this, you're probably not going to have enough. More is better. If you're serious about it, then you would want to make the investment early rather than later, because I will explain a little bit later, the video control panel we use has the ability to use 4 cameras, and we use all 4. And I can see that that's probably not going to be enough. There is another video control panel that has more cameras in it, or more camera ability, but this one is kind of a middle of the road, and that's what we started with. So getting into the other aspects of it is software. You're going to need obviously, if you're going to buy a powerful computer, you're going to get at different levels of software. But I'll tell you what we use in our studio. We use, of course, Windows for the computers, all of the computers. And then we also use Corel and all of the Adobe Creative Cloud softwares for design, for the graphics that we use for design, and also for for everything. And basically, I'm going to get into it later on, is Premiere Pro. Depending on whether or not you're going to do your own post-production, if you have the ability to do the post-production, then you will need something like Adobe Premiere Pro. So, moving on, you will need to subscribe to various platforms to present your show. For example, what some of that we use, YouTube, RSS, which is for the audio feed, and also Adobe Podcast. When you're using RSS, most of the audio feed is going to go out to the different podcast platforms. And then we also use our website, dailyraz.com, to put our audio podcasts on, and also our video podcasts. But those are all available on YouTube and all of the audio feeds, including Adobe, Apple podcast picks up off of the RSS feed. Excuse me. For studio design, just to show you real quick, this is part of our studio, and I will explain some of this as we move along. But I'm going to show you some of the products that we use, beginning with. Now, again, I did a lot of research on this to try to find what I wanted in the budget that I wanted. It took me a couple of months, so shopping around and asking questions. I was fortunate enough to find a person that was actually doing podcasting, and he gave me a lot of tips. I won't tell you where I found him, but you can find those people if you look around. So let's get started looking at what we start with. Of course, we mentioned the computer. That's huge. You're going to find the more powerful the computer that you use, the better your product's going to end up being. So one of the beginning is the video panel, the video and the audio. Now, we're going to have guests. We have multiple microphones, multiple cameras. Part of our studio that you cannot see is we have a guest area where we can sit down and talk to people in a more comfortable environment where it doesn't look exactly like this. It's not this is kind of a work area. It is part of the studio, but we do have an area where we can sit down and talk to guests in a more comfortable environment. And it looks kind of like a lounge area, a sit-down area. So the aesthetics of it are going to be a choice of yours and how you want to do it, and whatever your show is about. What do you want to talk about? How do you want to present it to the public? So this is let me see if I can get it up here. This is the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. And this controls, there's a panel on it that you cannot see, but this controls all of the video, which cameras you're using, how do you want to fade, what do you want to do on them. But the ATEM, I'll show it again, the ATEM Mini Pro ISO has the ability to input 4 cameras, two microphones, and also the plugins for the memory drive that you'll need. Now, I almost forgot about this, but you will need a scan disk. This is a 2 terabyte scan disk, and it plugs into the ATEM Mini to record your shows. And why can't you record it onto the computer? I don't know. I've spent so much time on it. I just went ahead and went with the directions. I have 2 of these. And you can record your shows on these, move it over to your computer, and then save them on your computer. But that's the way they save the shows on the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. I would like to be able to show you how the hookups are on all of these in the back, but you'll be able to see that on many different shows on YouTube on how to set these up. This is just kind of a learning experience on what type of equipment I have found that's needed. Now, I did try this, I tried that, and back and forth, and now I finally have everything working, and through some difficulties, so I don't change much. Going from, and again, I say we use 4 cameras, but actually we use 4 of the inputs on the ATEM Mini. We actually have 4 cameras including, and I'll go with the 4 what they are. But one of the plugins that I use on the ATEM Mini is, if you'll look up on that is just a monitor, and that monitor we have plugged in and use it as camera 3. So you can see here, that is actually our monitor that we're using. And when we do that, we use a Logitech camera on top of our one camera to record from videos that we're getting from out of the studio. Sorry, I had a bit of a glitch there. One of the other cameras that we use is a Logitech, and then we use that with Zoom to speak to people who are out of the studio and, perhaps somewhere else, and we can connect with them. We can connect with Zoom. We can connect with their phones. So we have that ability to basically talk to people that are not in the studio. And getting back to the studio, again, if you will see up on the top on the monitor, when we connect with someone that's out of the studio and we're using Zoom or another source, perhaps their phone, we can bring them in on that monitor and put them up where you can see them. Now, we can also do, I won't show you on this, but with the ATEM Mini, we can do a split screen, so we can actually visit with someone and have them on a split screen with us. So you would be able to see me or whoever the host may be, and see perhaps who's with us or who we're visiting with on a split screen. When my wife is here and we do a show, she would be sitting over on the other side in the other chair, and then we would do a split screen, and you would be able to see and visit with both of us. So moving on from the ATEM Mini, which is the video part, I put in an audio system that is the Rodecaster Duo. Rodecaster makes a couple of different versions of the audio system. This one is a Duo. I'll hold it up again later. But with the Rodecaster Duo, we can accommodate 2 microphones, all kinds of different editing of the audio in the Rodecaster. We can also add an additional guest microphone. It has it has the ability to control the headphones, the microphones, the audio portion, a lot of different sound effects that you can do with it. So they make a larger one, but unless you're going to have tons of guests and many different aspects in your podcasting, this one is pretty powerful. Again, I talked to people and got advice on what to use with it, and this one came up as the choice. Let's see if I can get it in the camera there. There we go, Rodecaster Duo. They're very popular, and you can find them in Best Buy. I don't know. They're on Amazon. And again, I would say talk to someone before you make any of these purchases. Maybe put together a shopping list of how you would like to put your studio together, and then start looking at all of the equipment that you would like to have, and then get opinions on it. Don't take mine. This is what we use, and I'm very happy with it. I expect to use it well into the future. I don't know that I would look at anything else right now. There are other products out there that you can certainly get into. Moving on, microphones. There's a ton of different microphones that you can use, and this is the one that we chose. It is the Shure MV7X podcast microphone. Rodecaster or Rode makes many versions of microphones. There's a lot of different microphones out there. This one is powerful. Many of the professionals use the Shure microphone. They are not cheap. We have 2 of them, or 3, I can't remember. None of these products are cheap. So it's when you decide to do podcasting, make sure it's something that you're really serious about. But the microphone, the Shure microphone, works fantastic. Very happy with it. And then, of course, the microphone arms, all of the side products that are necessary for all of this, camera stands, many other things that you might need. The headphones this is kind of the last big thing. The headphones that we use are the Rode, and again, this is part of Rodecaster, and then they make microphones as well. But this particular product are the headphones that we use, the NTH-100M, and they were recommended, again, not inexpensive. They're pricey, but all of these things are. So you kind of have to make a choice on what you want to do, from that point. Okay, moving on. Cameras. Cameras are, I don't know, you can make all kinds of decisions on cameras. We have 3 video cameras that we use, plus 3 that we're using, plus the Logitech. It's an HD 1080. It's a regular computer camera. We have that wired in to the computer to be able to do shows with Zoom. Okay, so you can use that, and we do that. And how we use the Logitech Logitech camera HD 1080 is that we particularly use that for when we are talking to someone on Zoom, because when they're on Zoom, they're not able to see us in the studio. For example, if they are in another state or another city, they're not able to see us in the studio, other than what we have on the Logitech camera, the 1080 camera. We have that mounted on our studio camera so that they are able to participate in the studio show by being able to see us. And this is what they're looking at. You're looking at us in the studio now. They are actually able to see us in the studio talking to them, and we could wave to them just like this. And then we can look up on the monitor that I'm pointing to, and we can see them. So we're able to actually interact together visually by using this type of a setup, this system, and that we have our monitor set into camera 3 plug. Okay, so we can actually see who we're talking to out in the field. That's the cameras. The cables, you'll be able to get that information from all of the other podcasters that are out there and tell you what kind of cables. However, if you talk to someone first before you take off doing any kind of podcasting, and then you see the equipment that you have decided to use, you'll be able to go from that and get the recommended cables. But you're going to need splitters. We use a HDMI splitter to connect many of these together. So the cables are one of the real problems that we had in the beginning, was getting everything to work together. That was probably the most complicated thing that we had to work on, was the cables and getting everything to work together. The other item is, again, we talked about the aesthetics. Carol helped me, my wife helped me, with the sound part of it in the studio, because she has worked in audio, and she helped me with all of the sound aspects. And you see behind me the paneling, which is a sound deadening paneling that we put up that really helped the acoustics in the studio. And then, of course, we have shading, light shading. I don't really know what you call it, but it's different levels of light shading that we can adjust in the studio to whatever effect we want. You have to be the judge of that. So, and I think I mentioned, we do have a guest seating area that we can bring guests in and have a little more comfortable environment than just sitting in a recording studio. So, recapping, the computer, again, was a Dell XPS 8960. The more memory you have, the better, depending at what level you're going to do this. Are you going to do the podcasting and have someone else do the post-production, and you're just going to record a podcast? Well, that's okay, but then you've got to remember the effects of it. You're going to be paying someone to do post-production. But if you don't know how to do it, then that's what you're going to have to do, because you have to have the experience of being able to use Adobe, and as I said, we use Premiere Pro to do our post-production. But you're going to need that. You're going to need the platforms to present your podcast? And also, are you going to promote it? That's another aspect of it that you have to look at. But the two most popular, I think, would be, or three most popular perhaps, would be YouTube, RSS feed, Apple, and then if you have your own website, that's great. You can actually post these videos that you're going to be doing on your own website. And then, of course, again, recapping the video control panel, we use an ATEM Mini Pro ISO. We use the Rodecaster Duo audio control panel. And then the Shure microphones, the Rode headphones, the NTH-100M headphones, cameras, personal preference. There are video cameras. You're going to have to check into some of those, but they're not horribly expensive. You can spend a lot of money on them, but you can get some pretty decent video cameras for $150, couple $100 a piece, depending on how many you want. The extra equipment in that kind of adds up a little bit, but that's kind of it. Podcasting, then I think the other thing you need to look at is, why are you doing it? I mean, what's the end game in doing a podcast? For me, it's, I said it before, it's just to, I've got a lot of information and I want to kind of get some of that information out, talk about it, engage people with some of these things, facts, figures, things that we have done. And you just have to find something that you want to do and talk about in your podcast. Is it going to be for entertainment? Is it going to be for information? I think, podcasting personally, I think I told you before that I actually don't listen to podcasts. I don't know. I just don't have the time, I guess. So I really did not have a roadmap on how to do them. I just kind of think I get in front of a camera and do my thing. And, maybe people don't enjoy it. I don't know, but I do. And, at first, it's a little uncomfortable perhaps, but then you get used to it and you kind of move on from that and kind of put the fact that you're talking to yourself in the back, unless you have a guest. Like when Carol is sitting across from me, we can banter back and forth and talk about things that interest us, and maybe it interests other people too. But there are podcast listeners that enjoy listening to podcasts. I think when I was traveling, I listened to some shows on NPR. I can't remember the name of it, but it'll come to me after I end this. But anyway, it can be entertaining, it can be fun, and I think you just kind of move on from that, and you'll find something that you enjoy talking about. I have a lot of things I want to talk about that I'm going to do in later podcasts, and hopefully it will provide some information to entertain people. I think I said it before, places we've gone to eat, foods we like, travels we've done, and some things I've done in business. One of the things I want to do is, everybody wants to start a business. I really want to do a show on how to start a business. I think that would be great, because if you have that energy in you and you want to do that, it might take it out of you, because starting a business is like a whole new world. And I've done several, and I'd like to pass that information on in future podcasts. So, I'm not going to continue this. If there are any questions, people can email me at jackwilson@dailyraz.com, and ask some of these questions. I will try to answer them, or I will come back and do another show if you have more questions on this, or if you want more information on it. Hey, I would love to try and do it. So with that, I'm going to end this with a trivia question. I try to do a trivia question at the end of each show. I'm very curious. Now, I'm a Dodgers fan, and they're not doing great right now. At this point in time, at this date, to win the World Series, they have to win the next two games in Toronto. And after their showing last night, I don't know. I always keep the hope up because I like the Dodgers. They have a great team, but wow, they're just not doing any hitting right now. Pitching's marginal, but the hitting is, their offense is just not good. And I think it's kind of getting to them in some ways because they're making mistakes that they don't typically make at that level. And so we'll see what happens, in the next two games, but it's going to be really hard for them to do it. But anyway, a Dodgers trivia question is, where did the Dodgers name come from? Well, here's where it came from. They used to be the Brooklyn Dodgers from like back in the 1800s. And in Brooklyn, back then they had trolleys everywhere, trolleys. So when the fans would go to the games, they would have to dodge in and out of these trolleys. And they had the nickname the Trolley Dodgers. That's what they called the team, or the people, I guess, the fans that went to them were the Trolley Dodgers. So the name kind of stuck to the team. And then eventually it was just shortened to the Dodgers. And they were the Brooklyn Dodgers up until 1958 when they moved to LA. And then I think they played, I'm going from my memory, I think they played in LA at the Coliseum from 58 until, I think it was 1962, when they were building Dodger Stadium down in the Ravine in LA. And then they moved to Dodger Stadium. But anyway, that is how they got the name the Dodgers. It used to be, they were called the Trolley Dodgers. And then they shortened it to the Dodgers, and then they were the Brooklyn Dodgers, and in 58 they became the LA Dodgers. That's the trivia question. We're going to get out of here and work on the next show coming up. I can't tell you because I've got like 2 or 3 we're going to do. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it will be up in the next couple of days. If you like these, subscribe to the channel. If you get a chance and you want to watch some of the blogs or look at some of the blogs, go to dailyraz.com. I try to write every day on there, and we're glad you watched, and come back and see us again.